All right, welcome everyone. This is a regular meeting of the Arlington City Council, November 15th, 2021. The time is 6:30, and again, if there's anyone in the room that has not signed the clipboard, the piece of paper on the clipboard, please do so. I'm Mayor Rich Nagel, and I will be presiding at the meeting. At this time, I would call the meeting to order, and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and we'll have roll call. Councilmember Sharpie.
Here.
Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
Councilmember Morgan.
Here.
Councilmember Batcher.
Here.
4 members here. Councilmember Buss is not here. 4 members in attendance. Also at the table, on my left, City Administrator Newsom, and on my right, City Attorney Arneson. With the roll call out of the way, are there any changes to the agenda?
I have 2 additions. We'll add under new business, if you want to call them 15.1 and 15.2. Budget discussion carrying over from the workshop, recommendation from council on a final levy. And the second item is the Verizon agreement. There's a copy in front of you. Attorney Arneson and I will talk about that.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Batcher, second by Councilmember Sharpie to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Moving on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda this evening consists of the following. Approval of the bills. Item B, November 1st, 2021 workshop minutes. Item C, approval of November 1st, 2021 City Council minutes. Item D, approval of the hiring of Aubriana Meyer as EMT student with Arlington Area Ambulance. Item E, approve hiring of Piper Whitmore Schultz as EMT student with Arlington Area Ambulance. Item F, approve hiring of Paul Neer as a .8 FTE paramedic with Arlington Area Ambulance. Item G, approve hiring of Kevin Hesse as a .8 FTE paramedic with the Arlington Area Ambulance. And lastly, item H, accept resignation of Gene Olson as an alternate representative to the Sibley County Library Board.
I just have a couple of questions on a few of the folks, if I could do so.
Go ahead.
The 2 new students, are they like fresh, or have they had exposure? It's just.
Sure.
And thank you for coming tonight.
Yes, I have 1 student here tonight. What we did is we allowed them to apply for the EMT student position, and before we would put them on the consent agenda, that we asked them to actually come and do ride-along shifts with the ambulance service, just to make sure that this is a good fit for them. So they have had some exposure to what it's like working with the ambulance service and our crew. As far as new goes, yes, they would. This would be a new journey for them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then on the other 2, Paul and Kevin, are those current
Yes.
employees, or? So
Yep, they are
would be
currently my
transferred?
casual medics.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all
Thank you.
that I have. Thank you.
Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll make a
motion to approve.
second.
Motion on the consent agenda by Councilmember Sharpie, second by Councilmember Morgan to approve as read. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. At this time, we'll go to item 5, addressing the council. Is there anyone in attendance this evening that wishes to address the council? No one that I can see, so we'll move on. No announcements or communications.
I have a quick announcement
Yes,
that I had sent
go
out
ahead.
by email.
Mhm.
The Southwest Corridor Transportation Coalition will meet on December 3rd at 7:30 in the morning at the Waconia City Council chambers. If any of you would like to attend, you're always welcome to.
Okay, thank you. And we'll move on to communications. October 11th, 2021 EDA minutes and MMPA board minutes.
There's a copy of both of those minutes in the packet. If you have any questions, especially on the EDA minutes, please let me know. MMPA meeting minutes are pretty brief. If you have any questions on those, let me know and I can reach out to MMPA.
Well, I mean, we talked a little bit about the MMPA and their proposed rate increases, which is part of this packet or whatever, so, we were talking about our budget a little bit later, that reflects
Correct.
the letter we received.
Okay, anything else on communications? Move right along to reports. October Police Department report, Chief Konechny. Uh-huh. Welcome.
All right, getting down to the real stuff here. Yeah, 177 calls for service for October. 93 of those were traffic stops, and we responded to a lot of suspicious activity, vehicle calls and stuff like that. So again, happy to report, no major criminal events to worry about at that time. To just give you kind of a perspective of where we're at now, October 2020 of last year, we're at 237. Year to date now, we're at just over 1,700, and January, October for 2020, we were over 2,700. So I guess the calls for service have decreased by eliminating some of those push calls for service, I would say. So, yeah, that's what I got. Any questions?
I know there's some vandalism at the Sportsman's Park just not too long ago. What's the patrolling of the Sportsman's Park typically?
The guys have been directed to get out there whenever they can,
Okay.
mostly at night, because that's when we get, that's where most of the people, if they're gonna be out there doing something, it's gonna be at night, so.
And as far as locking the gate, that really is not even, I mean, they can still get in? Even if the gate is locked?
I'm not aware, I don't think there's a gate from the road to get into the parking lot, but there is.
From the parking lot into the park.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right, yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, officers will go down there.
As far as stopping the vandalism by locking the gate, the truck.
Right, that probably would work, yeah. I think you also get, a little bit of foot traffic that comes in on the trail.
Okay,
And,
yep.
Yeah.
I would
Officers
assume that shooting of the sign was probably during the day.
You think it was during the day?
I mean, I don't know who's going around with guns shooting shotguns at night. I don't know.
Yeah, you would think if it happened at night, we would have probably gotten a call.
Yeah, it probably just blended in. I don't know. That seems weird. But it's not an area where it's not a hunting area. So someone, I don't know if they just walked in there or it seems odd.
Can you shoot guns in that park anymore?
I don't believe you
Chief,
can.
can you?
I don't believe you can. As long as there's something is property of the city of Arlington and incorporated in the city, it would be susceptible to the same ordinances that we have everywhere else. So yeah, I have directed the officers that they are allowed to at night drive that actual trail back into the trees and around back that way. The bridge that they have in there is sturdy enough for a squad car, so they can make it there. So they can creep through there at night and maybe surprise people or whatever else. 3, that is the number of times I've shot raccoons since I've been here, and one of those pesky bad buggers was on that trail.
Was he chasing after somebody? Or?
No, he was just laying there dying of distemper, I think.
I wasn't sure why he got called. Somebody was off there walking and a raccoon chasing or something.
Yeah, I think the raccoon mortality rate around here is probably below the national average. So yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah. Anything for the chief? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Revenue and expenditure report.
Attached, you'll see the revenue and expenditure reports again. Revenue is under where it should be right now. Expenditure is pretty close to where we should be at.
What are we at, 83%?
83% is what we should be at. Let's see, we're at 82.57, so
About as close
people are
as we can
sticking to their budgets.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Any questions on those reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 9, which is the second reading of ordinance number 338. And that is an ordinance dealing with some changes in the cemetery part of the ordinance, or the code.
Correct, and that means that we have a permit now for monuments, and planning and zoning administrator just cleaned up some of the language in the cemetery code.
Okay. Any question on the second reading of ordinance 338 with a very lengthy title, but I will read it. I will read it when it comes to the resolution itself, right below. No comments, no questions?
No.
Let's move on then to item 10, resolution 82-2021, and that is a resolution that deals with that ordinance 338 change.
I'll introduce resolution 82-2021, deep breath, approving amending chapter 13, the Arlington Cemetery Code to allow the adjustment chapter 13 for the creation of the burial monument permit under 1321, the right for residents not to use a monument and market company under 1324, requiring a land use permit for a Arlington mausoleum under 1325, and not allowing any burial without first being issued a permit from the city, 1329.
Okay.
Second, and thank you.
Good job.
You did such a wonderful job of reading it that I'm not even gonna read it again.
Repeat it, yeah, no need to repeat it.
No. Okay, resolution 82-2021, introduced by Councilmember Batchor, second by Councilmember Morgan. And this is again dealing with the changes in the cemetery ordinance, or cemetery code.
Correct.
Any questions? Any discussion? Hearing none, vote by roll call. Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan.
Yes.
Councilmember Batchor.
Yes.
Councilmember Sharpie.
Yes.
4 votes in favor, none opposed, 1 absent. The resolution is adopted. Resolution 83-2021, a resolution accepting a donation designating its use.
This was a donation from Dave Check in the amount of $3,000 to go towards the Arlington Ambulance Fund 202.
I'll introduce resolution 83-2021, the resolution accepting a donation and designating its use.
Second.
Resolution 83-2021, introduced by Councilmember Batchor, second by Councilmember Sharpie, and is a resolution accepting a donation designating its use. Specifically, it's a donation in the amount of $3,000 from Dave Check to be used for the Arlington Area Ambulance and to go in Fund 202. Discussion? Questions? Hearing none, vote by roll call. Councilmember Morgan.
Yes.
Councilmember Sharpie.
Yes.
Councilmember Batchor.
Yep.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
4 votes in favor, none opposed, 1 absent. The resolution is adopted. Resolution 84-2021, another resolution accepting a donation designating its use.
This is $50 from Carl and Rosemary Deball to be used for the Arlington Area Ambulance Fund 202.
I'll introduce resolution 84-2021, a resolution accepting a donation designated its use.
Second.
Resolution 84-2021, introduced by Councilmember Sharpie, second by Councilmember Thomas, and it is a resolution accepting a donation designating its use. Specifically, it is a $50 donation from Carl and Rosemary Deball, and it's to go towards the Arlington Area Ambulance Fund 202. Vote by roll call. Councilmember Sharpie.
Yes.
Councilmember Batchor.
Yep.
Councilmember Morgan.
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
4 votes in favor, none opposed, 1 absent. The resolution is adopted. Resolution 85-2021, a resolution accepting a donation designating its use.
Carl and Rosemary Debo also gave $50 to go to the Arlington Fire Department Fund 201.
I'll introduce resolution 85/2021, accepting a donation and designating its use.
Is there a
Second.
Resolution 85-2021, introduced by Councilmember Batchor, second by Councilmember Morgan. And it is a resolution accepting a donation, designating its use. Specifically, it is a $50 donation from Carl and Rosemary Debal that will go towards the Arlington Fire Department Fund 201. Vote by roll call. Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Councilmember Sharpie.
Yes.
Councilmember Batchor.
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan.
Yes.
4 votes in favor, none opposed, 1 absent. The resolution is adopted. Resolution 86-2021, a resolution accepting a donation designating its use.
In this one, we are accepting $250 from Arlington Industries to be used towards the dog park.
I'll introduce resolution 86/2021, resolution accepting a donation and designating its use.
I'll second.
Resolution 86-2021, a resolution accepting a donation as designating its use was introduced by Councilmember Batchor, second by Councilmember Thomas. And specifically, the resolution deals with a $250 donation from Arlington Industries to be used towards the Arlington Dog Park. Vote by roll call. Councilmember Batchor.
Yes.
Councilmember Sharpie.
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan.
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
4 votes in favor, none opposed, 1 absent. The resolution is adopted. I think we're back to you. What is that? Lost my feet. There we go. All right, no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. Item 15, approve or deny sidewalk inspection policy.
When we were planning to spend some of the money and do the upgrades to the sidewalk, we had a lot of back and forth talk. And we had a sidewalk inspection policy that kind of laid out, this is when we would do repairs. Someone would go out and take a look, and we'd have a map and we would have a plan. And I felt that sidewalks in town are kind of a planning aspect, and since we do have a full-time staff, I asked the planning and zoning administrator to go in and update our sidewalk inspection policy. Felt it was good, it just hadn't been updated and hadn't been followed in many years. So Phil went through and made some changes to it so that we could follow it for future use and keep up with our sidewalk projects. All of his changes are highlighted, and he crossed out what he would like to cross out. If you have any questions, Phil is here.
Yep.
Please ask.
I appreciate that.
That is a very good way to do it, yes. Very easy to follow.
I think all the changes from what I read, they all make sense.
They do, they do.
They kinda
Cleans it up very
cleaned
nicely.
it up nicely.
Mhm.
It is nice.
Thank you, Phil. More discussion? Anyone wish to make a motion to,
I'll make a motion
Approve.
to accept.
For the
Second.
sidewalk policy.
Yeah, the sidewalk policy. Sorry.
Motion by Councilmember Sharpie, second by Councilmember Thomas to approve the updated sidewalk inspection policy. More discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Item 15.1, budget discussion, final levy.
I'm looking for some direction for a T&T hearing, because I do have to put together the presentation for the public. What direction would council like to take? I mean, that's our big 2 choices. We're cutting some of those special funds or cutting the PD. We talked during the workshop about 4.91%. Is something I think we could live with now that we're trying to put money aside for those bigger purchases under the capital improvement plan.
The money for the cemetery, what's that go for?
Lawnmowers, basically, we still need that money. paying the lawnmowers, the people, the staff to actually go do it.
Weed control,
There you go. Mhm.
Pavement sometimes.
Pavement,
We did like
yeah.
seal coating or something this year, I think.
That was in the CIP, that was in
One of the
401.
years, either this year or last year.
It was
Last
this
year, I
year.
think,
It
was it this
It
year?
was this year we just did that.
Yeah, so the
Mhm.
road should be in good shape for quite a while.
And that's under the CIP,
Mm-hmm.
401.
Open for discussion.
I would like to see us maybe chip away a little bit on the, money in the fire ambulance and cemetery, maybe just a little bit. As well as taking away that, police officer position, maybe getting our levy around 3%, 3.5% at the end,
You think of doing both?
huh?
You can do both?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I mean, not a lot. I mean, we talked about either doing one or the other to get to where, around that point, but I'm saying, take away the police and then maybe chisel a little bit off of those levies, since they have plenty of money in their funds. I think that would help, the citizens with, other changes that we're maybe gonna be implementing with, utility bills for this coming year. And yet give us room to save towards future projects. I think we can find a happy medium.
I would agree with that, take a little bit out of each one of them instead of one or the other.
What was the proposals what was the proposed amount that you were gonna take out if we did that versus
It's substantial.
It was substantial.
This
But
would,
I'm not proposing that.
no, just cut it back.
Just give me a number, 3%, 3.5%, and that's what I'll chip away at the other ones.
To hit.
Yep, give me a number.
Do you want to be under 4 somewhere?
Yeah,
Just-
give me a
Just
number.
hit under 4?
3.5%.
Under 4, 3.5%, okay.
Yep.
So I will get it right around 3.5%.
I think that's pretty much where we've been every.
Most years.
Most
Mhm.
years.
And that's usually, that's the recommendation, you're gonna have to have some wages go up, we're gonna see increased costs.
Mhm.
If you let it sit still, you're gonna take away some services from residents.
Okay, so consensus at 3.5, thereabouts? Everybody good with that?
Okay, thank you.
And move on to 15.2, that'd be the Verizon agreement.
Verizon. I'll let Attorney Arneson take the lead on this, but we have been going back and forth. Verizon has a consultant who is pretty demanding. So we've been going back and forth for several months now. They've come to us with a proposed water tower lease. They're adding things, and we just like to make sure that it's cleaned up there. And we want to make sure that we're getting the most amount that we should be getting for we want to get payment for what they have on our water tower. So Attorney Arneson, if you wanted to say something about that dollar amount for the lease.
Sure. Well, first of all, we're actually looking at Amendment 4 to an original lease that goes back decades. And with, actually, I think Verizon is the fourth successor or company to the original lease. And boiling it down, as far as the technicalities on the equipment, they currently have 9 antenna systems on the tower. They're going to take 3 off, but then they're going to add 6, so they'll go from 9 to 12. So that's an increase of 25%. Our consulting engineer at Bolton and Mink, Jamie Connor, is in the process of doing a final review of their proposals. Bolton and Mink we rely on to determine weight limits on the tower, method of installation to protect the tower, and things of that nature. And Verizon agrees to pay the fees that we incur from the engineer.
Correct.
The Fourth Amendment also suggests a $150 a month rent increase, right now, we're getting $1,831.40 a month. It's an odd amount because we have a 3% yearly inflation escalation in our existing lease. In analyzing this, if we round it off to 1,800 for 9 antennas, well, just keeping the same ratio, if we allow 12 antennas, we should be getting $2,400 a month. They were offering a $150 a month increase. I think the increase should in fact be $569.60 a month to get us up to an even $2,400.
I agree with Attorney Arneson.
Jamie Conner, Bolden Mink, very kindly did provide us with a study that they had showing rent payments made to not just Verizon, but other similar cell phone companies. A number of communities, some our size, some much larger, and the result of all of those was an average of about $2,094 a month. But looking at it, especially focusing in on cities of our size, if we get $2,400 a month, I think we're right in the ballpark. You know, not outrageously high, but not too low either. So that's kind of the analysis we've been going through. So I guess my recommendation would be to accept the Amendment 4, but with the modification that we get the indicated increase to get us up to $2,400 a month. And that increase would be subject in future years to the 3% inflation factor. This basically piggybacks on the previous leases. So the only change this really makes, the added equipment, and then what is the new lease amount going to be?
So I know our tower is pretty full already the way it is, and Bolden and Mink said it's okay to put additional on there.
Yes.
Jeez, okay.
Are they
I mean, it's loaded.
are they verifying that any unused equipment is being removed? Or
That's-
has-
Yes, Jamie is well aware of that.
Okay.
Is there any risk of them jumping ship and setting up somewhere else, or is it basically it just kind of serves this area and they have to have one here?
Yeah.
It's the
I
highest
don't
thing.
know where else they're gonna go.
Yeah, it'd have to be something
mean-
else that's way up in the
I
air.
mean, they could leave and go somewhere else or build their own tower,
Well,
right? I
that's
think
more expense
on the
for the
north
building.
side of the
Then they have to pay.
racetrack, there's a tower there.
Mhm.
That's, got, I think, when was that put up? A couple of years ago, 3, 4 maybe?
No, it's longer than that. It's been there for at least 13.
Well,
As long as I've done it.
That's been there a long time.
well, I think they just added to it though, just a couple of years ago, is then what I'm thinking, and I think that was maybe a Sprint one or something. I'm not sure, and then the tower that's down by the wastewater treatment
Mhm.
plant or whatever too. However, I mean, you're not gonna get any kind of better coverage than on top of the water tower, that's the tallest thing.
Yeah, I just look at, just making sure there's not like, all of a sudden they've got another option and they're like, well, we don't wanna pay that, and since we're doing this work, we'll go jump
It'll
somewhere
cost
else.
more for them to put the,
It's certainly to put a new one up, I just,
Cost them a hell of a lot.
not knowing if there's another one, but,
Cause they have to rent the land, they don't buy the land, they rent.
yeah, I
it.
suppose they have
Plus
to pay fees no matter what.
Maintain it, which actually they're not doing out there at the fairgrounds.
You think they would negotiate, or they would just accept it?
Well, I'm not sure. I guess the next step would be if the council wants us to propose that $2,400 a month, I would get back to their contractor and say, this is what the city wants.
I guess there's no better time than when they're doing a change.
Right.
Right.
Well, I suggested earlier that we would have them pay for the cleaning of the tower.
Yeah, the cleaning part, cause this radio waves is affecting it.
Holy moly.
You got it, Joe.
I was actually playing in that, my son's RC car.
It attracts that
Was
stuff.
playing right there on the basketball thing, so I was
right.
looking up at it. I was like, well, right now it's not looking too bad, but a lot of it's kinda dying off, but.
Could the
yeah.
wording be such that we would agree to no less than 2,400?
Sure. Yes.
Where are we going with this money? What are we doing with it? general fund, or?
General fund.
It should go under the cleaning.
The cleaning
Cleaning of
fund.
the water tower.
Here we are looking
It
at,
should probably go into like the same fund for the water tower, like start a fund for.
Actually, this goes into the water, it goes into the water fund, this
cause
one.
it is, the
Water
electricity
tower.
to run this pump that we're buying
Yeah.
is gonna,
Not the general, it's the water fund.
Well, not only that, I mean, if we get more industry and stuff and have to build a new water tower on top of that or whatever at some point someday,
That would be the water fund.
well, right, so, and they're not cheap. So, I mean, the $2,400 a month isn't gonna get you one anytime soon.
But I think, Ross has gone through quite a bit of analyzing the numbers and looking at the equipment that will be up there compared to the equipment that is now up there, and looking at other installations throughout the area and the state. I
I think it's a fair deal because I looked into these cell towers and putting them up and what they have to pay to do it. Because I was looking at possibly, I was right off of 212 when I used to live in Plato, so I looked at possibly putting a tower up on part of my property. And they gotta pay a lot of money. You know, they have to give you a guaranteed lease, they have to also come back and remove the tower at the end of that lease, if it's not extended, so.
yeah, and right now, they don't have to remove anything but their equipment.
Right,
Yeah.
well, they have whatever.
But they have to put up a tower and they have to lease
Yeah.
some land,
Yeah,
so.
Right, I think we all agree.
okay.
How long of a lease is it?
Forever.
So what if we needed to do something to is there anything in there, like they would have to pay for relocation of it, so like if we had to put a new tower up?
Yes,
Yeah, so we're not having to foot the bill?
And then like 3%.
Okay. Do you want a motion on this, or are we good?
I think just direction.
Just a direction?
To allow us to go back at the 2,400 a month.
Yeah, think it's a consensus?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I think it is a consensus.
will do.
Yeah,
It's a nice tower, and they should feel privileged to have their stuff on top of it.
that's correct. And it draws businesses to town. We hear that story when Gino tells his
Gino.
story.
Mm-hmm.
He looked out the door and saw the lights shining on the water tower. All right, we are gonna move to a closed session at this point. And,
Well, Matt, this is yours. I wanna make sure you get it.
all right. See, yep.